Hameed's century puts Lancashire well on top at Lord's. After encouraging performances with the bat in both the morning and afternoon sessions, Middlesex's ability to self-implode was all too clear to see in the evening at Lord's on day one against Lancashire. The hosts closed on 236 for 9, with Gubbins and Eshkenazi's competence at the top of the order long forgotten as Bailey and Anderson collected the wickets in the main. A second batting point was the first order of the day for Middlesex, and Roland Jones and Murtagh set out their stall to achieve this. Both hit boundaries as the home team moved to 250, and they continued to press on until Bailey finally made the breakthrough in the 100th over of the innings to dismiss Roland Jones for 35, ensuring maximum bowling points for Lancashire and ending Middlesex's innings on 265. Still plenty of time for Lancashire to bat through to lunch, and Jennings and Hameed started in positive fashion. Finn and Harris came into the attack, and Hameed took a real liking to the latter, hitting 16 off his first over, taking the pair to their 50 partnership in the process. They continued to forge ahead and batted through to lunch, 88 for no wicket the score, Hameed just 3 runs shy of a 50. After the interval, it took Hameed 3 overs to bring up his half-century, but Middlesex's bowling was noticeably tighter and runs were harder to come by. The pair did move to a century partnership, and Jennings passed 50, but the visitors were definitely finding it much trickier to score. This newfound bowling discipline eventually had its reward, as Jennings nicked behind to Simpson off Harris for 52. But the new man in, Guest, established himself with Hameed, and they took the score to 150 just before the interval. It looked as though the afternoon session would once again belong to Lancashire, but a couple of wickets just before the break made it a tad more even. Guest was first to go, bowled by Murtagh for 17, and in his next over he bowled Maxwell for 1, meaning at tea the score was 155 for 3, Hameed still there though, unbeaten on 81. So 110 runs separated the teams going into the evening session, and as with the period after lunch, Middlesex's bowlers kept a tight line and runs down. However, Hameed was still able to pick off the bad ball, and it wasn't long before the lead was under 100 and Hameed was into his 90s. Hameed hadn't scored a first-class century since 2016, so nerves were to be expected as he edged closer to 3 figures. But in the end, he brought up his 100 in emphatic style, dispatching Roland Jones to the boundary for a 4 and then clearing the ropes for 6 with the next ball to confirm his ton. The first batting point followed, and Jones, who'd made a cautious start up the other end, started to find his feet. Several boundaries followed for the number 5, but before he and Hameed could complete their century partnership, the opener fell, caught and bowled Malan for 117. The wicket didn't slow up Jones and Lanks though, with the 23-year-old moving to his second first-class 50 as the visitors closed in on overhauling the Middlesex first innings total. They managed to do this just before the close, Lancashire reaching stumps on 267 for 4, a lead of 2, but with those 6 first innings wickets remaining, the Red Rose looking well placed heading into the second half of the match.